This is the Talk CNY Economic Champions Miniseries presented by NBT Bank, a podcast by Center State CEO, Central New York's premier leadership and economic development organization. This series will shine a light on local businesses making an impact in our community and driving our regional economy forward. Whether it's new jobs, company milestones, business expansions, investments in operations, or DEI initiatives, join us as we celebrate CNY's economic champions. Today's conversation is with Anthony Rojas, principal of In Architects. Anthony has over 17 years of professional experience in the architectural profession with a focus in planning and design. He is responsible for the conceptualization and implementation of design strategies and solutions for various project types, which include mixed use, multi-unit residential, office, retail, restaurant, and healthcare. Today, we discuss Anthony's passion, which lies in successfully translating a client's vision into a path towards construction. Today, we have Anthony Rojas with us from In Architects. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Appreciate being here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so first, let's just get started by getting to know you and your connection with Central New York.
Yeah, I'm, originally born in Bronx, New York, and raised in Miami, Florida, so I am a transplant of here in Central New York, and been here for about 17 years, so it becomes more and more difficult saying that I'm not from here. At this point, I feel like I am.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing journey, and it didn't take long, for my wife and I when we decided to relocate here to fall in love with the region and to really feel the energy and see the opportunity that lied in this community. And so we definitely bought into that and we started raising a family here and definitely not looking for any other alternatives. This is kind of our long-term plan and we'll be here for quite a while.
Well, that's really good to hear. We love this. Would you mind sharing the origin of why Central New York? What brought you here?
Sure.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, again, we met in Miami, Florida, high school sweethearts, and ended up getting married right after graduating with our bachelor's degree and started thinking about our next steps. And we knew we didn't want to live in Florida. Miami is great to visit and vacation, but to live long-term and to raise a family, it seemed a little more difficult for us. But
yeah.
So we started seeking out other opportunities, and I had family here that lived up here in New York from long before, and we both decided to move up here, and we visited quite a few times. And again, it didn't take very long for us to see all of the attributes that lied here, both from a nature standpoint all the way through the business opportunities, the educational opportunities, everything that just seemed to be a lot more attainable at a city of this scale that had much deeper and closer relationships to be able to pursue your next endeavor, to be able to, arrive at that finish line a lot quicker and a lot smoother rather than a much larger metro kind of urban city to where you identify those barriers a lot sooner.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that really resonates for me.
Yeah.
I lived in Chicago for a period of time, and it really does help you to appreciate the pace and the ease of a city of this size by comparison. There are some really nice qualities in that way.
Absolutely.
So I love you bringing that up. Yeah. So you found a footing here. You felt really firmly grounded here, which is really cool to hear. And then what happened from there? How did things grow?
Yeah, so right out of college, graduated college, started seeking an opportunity to do my master's degree. So obviously Syracuse University being the institution that they are, it's one that we gravitated towards pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we did start professional life here as well and engaged my first architecture firm right out of college and starting to, learn the profession and how that work-life balance, was really needed to be considered from very early on. It's just the normal, typical grind of an emerging professional that you get to live through and learn from. And, there was a lot of great experiences through that to where professional life really started.
Yeah. So you had some of these work experiences working in other firms, it sounds like. But you didn't stay in that sort of situation. It sounded like at some point things changed.
Yeah, I'd say the number one reason why, a change in my mind needed to occur, it's the firm we were a part of really wasn't a nationally based firm. We did a lot of work outside of the region. The great positives from that is we got to travel and we got to visit cities and do great projects in other locations. But as an architect, you really start to build a connection with the work you're producing, right?
Yeah.
And when you see this project come to life through construction and you finally see the reveal of it opening and allowing the community to engage those projects, we felt because we were so distant from those locations that you didn't really build that connection and didn't see the positive outcomes of having the community engage that project.
Yeah.
So for us, the focus really needed to change to where we had so much excitement going on here locally, and we really needed to leverage that. We thought, okay, if we were to start something new, we really had to focus on Central New York, and that's really been where our focus has been since starting day one. And knowing that we can have the same positive outcomes from projects that we were doing nationally here locally, plus the positive outcome of seeing the community engage that project and connecting with the project and seeing the longevity and the life that you've brought in your small role as an architect in that project.
Yeah. Yeah. So community is obviously a huge value for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Well, we'll hear more about that orientation, I bet. So in architects, you have a few words that you like to use to describe yourself. Would you mind sharing a little bit about those I words and how that led you to the name?
Sure. Yeah. And thinking about a new company name, it's, we started by writing a bunch of descriptive words of what values did we want to associate with our company, and did we want not only internally with the team we were building, but externally in how we engage our client base, and terms like wanting to be inspired and inclusive and innovative. And there were a long list of words that all started with the letters IN. So the thought of just consolidating those letters and allowing that to be the brand to then allow for the story to kind of branch out from that is really where we landed on within Architects. And it really has been kind of a guide for us in wanting to tell our story and being able to kind of connect at different levels.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of connection, what I love about that is how I imagine it really does connect you with the right other entities to do these partnerships with, to do these projects with. Because if those values are in alignment, they're going to see those words and think, that's us too, right?
Right. There's different ways to connect with people, and it's the best result when you get an email from a client that they're buying into it and they're responding with capitalizing the IN words as well in their responses, and that the connection's been built at that point, and they get it, and they're part of the brand, they're part of the company, they're part of the vision, and the relationship's aligning. Especially when you're dealing with architecture and construction, you want those values to align. You want that vision and the end goal to be the same, and it's a great feeling.
Awesome. Yes, love that. So when you think about what you specialize in and other ways that, maybe even individuals who are listening right now and might think like, this sounds cool. Maybe I would want to work with this company. What sorts of projects do you do? How would someone know, this could be a fit? So
I'd categorize our work within two kind of bubbles, right? So we do a bunch of projects with private developers, and most of our projects recently have been of a mixed use kind of development aspect.
Oh, very cool.
To where you work with a lot of multi-unit residential uses combined with either retail, restaurants, bars, offices, other components and market sectors that allow for a vibrant community to be created within a single node, right? The other sector and group of projects that we've worked on is more of the municipally focused projects. So working with different municipalities of different scales and serving the needs of their communities. So most recently, we've been working with a couple of projects with the County of Herkimer, and they really wanted to focus on the needs of children's services. So we're working on a really exciting children's center out there that incorporates early intervention and preschool services and other mental health services for youth that really just created this central space for their youngest community members to kind of participate and to learn, to grow and to thrive within. And other projects, from the complete opposite, down in the town of Lyons, we've really been working with the children's aspect, and they really wanted to incorporate the children's center, but they also wanted to serve their seniors and being able to create a community and a space for their elder population to come and to thrive as well.
What a cool pair up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that right off the bat.
You wouldn't.
But you really do see, and we've seen studies of allowing for the elder community to engage with preschool age children and just the life that it brings them, and being able to create that shared space for those two populations just help helps them both, right? Individually and together. And just working on those types of projects, I think, are great for the community overall, but it also allows us to serve from start to finish, right? Everyone that's within our community.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. Trying to think, like, I'm racking my brain right now. I can't even think of another example of something like that, like anywhere.
Yeah, no, for us, it's a new typology to be able to bring those two programs together, but it's been a great opportunity to research that and dive into it and seeing kind of the research behind the mental health aspects and the longevity of extending an elder's life to be able to do things and engage with certain populations that they may not have those, close family members or those opportunities to do themselves. But if you're within the community and within a building that provides that opportunity, I think it's just impacting their lives in great ways.
Yeah, impact. I'm picking that up for sure, especially like the social impact aspect of it. Very cool. Yeah, and so unique. Very interesting. I understand that you do some private developer work as well. Would you like to share more about that?
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, along with the municipal work, we do most of our work is in the private development sector. We're doing a lot of great projects. We started with a specialization in adaptive reuse type projects, to where we take historic buildings and transform them and bring them into new life. A great example of it is the Chimes building here in downtown, and the 13-story building that was available for new life. We've been collaborating with the Allen Foundation.
That is the most clever wording ever. Available for new life. Okay, let's just have a moment for that. Okay, go on.
So we've had a great time collaborating with the Allen Foundation and Seed Syracuse to bring their vision of creating an inclusive development project with mixed income residential units, not only just market rate residential units, but they're really serving a huge need in this community for affordable housing within that project. So they've designed 152 residential units in that large scale building that's going to have a huge impact for us locally, as well as other commercial uses in that to bring life to the street front and the pedestrian activity that occurs here in downtown. So that's an amazing project that we've had the great fortune of working with and collaborating with them on. And then aside from adaptive reuse projects, there's a lot of new construction happening as well. And with the need of Micron coming and impacting our community, we've already seen and felt the increase of new construction. And we're working on the first project along the Route 31 corridor up in Clay, New York, that just recently opened in Clay Marketplace, which is a mixed-use development right at the intersection of Henry Clay and 31. There they've have residential, they've have commercial retail, a couple of restaurants going in, some office space going in, and you're really starting to see the effects of Micron this early on, and we think that it's going to do nothing but continue to grow moving forward.
Yeah. Could you speak a little bit to the significance of mixed use and how that type of development makes a particular impact?
So mixed use development really impacts the community by serving community members within a close proximity to everything that they would need, right? So we're in being able to reduce vehicular congestion and being able to create convenience in someone's life. If the more you can have within these small clusters, the better for the immediate impact of a person's life. But what it also then allows is that because of the density that's designed within a small amount of area, it creates a node. And that node then allows for expansion. And then you're able to develop in close proximity to that node and allow for that to grow. So I think that's why one of the big efforts of the county executive in creating these town center concepts throughout all of our towns and villages is to start with creating those nodes of energy. And by starting with that, it then allows for expansion and additional development to surround that node. And now you're consolidating services, you're consolidating vehicular traffic to allow for more pedestrian activity to engage everything that a user would need throughout their life.
Okay, and also I know I'm pushing a little bit here, but what is the risk then if we do it a different way? Like, what are we preventing this way?
So, we definitely need to respect our natural resources and the availability of land. We want to impact undisturbed land as minimally as possible.
Yeah.
So by taking advantage of where our existing infrastructure lies is huge.
Yeah.
Maintaining the infrastructure that we have and upgrading those rather than just expanding and continuing sprawl. You go back to the effects of Miami, Florida, and how that's just one giant sprawl, right, that exists in that city. And it becomes difficult. It's a lot more area to maintain. It's a lot more infrastructure to maintain. And by increasing density and clustering and creating that environment in a much smaller footprint, you're being a lot more sustainable and respectful of kind of the limitations that we have here in terms of land use and availability of resources.
Yeah, it can be a tense thing to talk about, but I think so important to talk about, right? And to really make sure that we're doing what we can to help make sure that there's understanding available, right?
Absolutely.
So that's cool. I'm really glad that you took a minute to speak to that. You've talked a little bit about the impact of Micron coming to Central New York, specifically to your business. Can you talk a little bit about what you see evolving into the future, specifically for an architects?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these mixed-use developments will continue. Density will continue to increase, and I think there's a lot of positive outcomes from that. From a business standpoint, we've seen growth in across multiple sectors in our industry. We're not seeing just an individual growth in the housing need and the office need and the retail need and the healthcare need. It's all across the board. And so we think that all sectors are going to continue to grow. Our project pipeline shows that and reflects that, and having that variability of project type, and which is great to really understand that Micron is coming and we are going to feel the effects of it, and we need to start preparing for it. And I think if there's one need is just to increase the speed and the pace in which we're doing it. That may lead to, opportunities to collaborate with other companies or firms or consultants to be able to do much more with much less, right? And being able to build those efficiencies to produce at a faster pace. But we've had, again, another great opportunity. I reflect on receiving questions about, do you really believe Micron's going to happen? Do you really believe that?
Oh, goodness.
And
goodness.
it's the first question you have to respond to. But, we've had the opportunity to be working directly with Micron recently. And
cool. Say more. Yes.
And designing their new headquarters that's located here in downtown at One Lincoln Center. Mm-hmm. And just with that alone, and seeing that they're completely bought into outfitting their headquarters to be able to operate here locally and be represented here locally, we think is a giant first step. And knowing that soon we'll be pulling their building permit, and right now it's currently out to bid for contractors to come and start construction. So we think that's a huge first step. And, I think for them, another, huge indicator is seeing all of our local municipalities like Onondaga County and in collaboration with Center State CEO, seeing all of the time that they're investing in making sure that the infrastructure is laid and that all of the support that they require is in place for when they do come and they do break ground. Another project that comes to mind is when we got the opportunity to work with the Office of Economic Development over at Onondaga County with their White Pines Science and Technology center up in Clay.
You do a few things, it sounds like.
We've been involved with a few projects, which is great.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, it's been an exciting time, and the team has been growing and being responsive to all of the opportunity, which has been amazing. But in working with the county at the White Pines and Science and Technology Park, it really took a visionary like Onondaga County to be able to come with this thought and the understanding that we need to engage all of the supply chain manufacturers that support Micron, and how do we entice them to invest in New York, right? So they have a location right across from the proposed site, the site on Route 31 in Clay, about a 100-acre site, to where we really got to create this campus-like setting of new technology companies and market supply chain companies to support Micron in close proximity. Yeah. And so there's different buildings of different scales to fit all different needs of these manufacturers. And we were able to envision this campus-like setting that allows for that collaborative environment.
Yeah.
And really understand the impact that they can have being right across the street from Micron's location.
Yeah, I love that word, campus, and it does sort of inherently give you that feeling of that collaboration, that university sort of layout. I'm imagining a quad of sorts, like some area where people are coming together. I would love to hear if you'd be willing to share. Is there anything that we haven't read yet in the news? Any element of this downtown space or out at White Pines that you might give us some insight to?
The downtown space has been evolving through design. I know there's been a few renderings out there in the media of what it could have been. Those were renderings we did in trying to be awarded the job. But most recently, we've been working closely with the team and generating these new renderings that really fit their corporate structure and how they would like to present themselves to the public. They do have two components to their program. They'll have a ground level welcoming center, which allows the public to engage at that level, and then they'll be taking the full 8th floor up above for their corporate spaces. And it's an exciting time to see that project kick off and to finally, be able to engage and see all of their activity and impact that they'll be creating here locally for us.
So many really exciting projects. It must just be such a blast for you at the office.
Yes, it's been a great moment in time to be able to see these opportunities before us and be able to respond to them. And, you know, the team has been growing steadily from when we opened of being 4. We're currently 10, and we're looking at our next couple hires. And we really want to be responsive to the community needs and the opportunities that stand before us here locally, and make sure that the impact that Micron and other economic opportunities that are for us here in Central New York, that our local companies can be responsive to that. And we keep those opportunities local and allow for our companies to grow and catch that wave, you know, to thrust us all forward.
Yeah. When you think about growth down the line, just in case anyone's listening or knows a person who does a thing, are there particular positions that you have in mind that you're thinking, oh, we might need?
So rather than a specific position, we're always looking to communicate and build relationships with the individual and really capture their essence and what their vision is and what it is that they would like to do with their time, right? As a part of our whole hiring process, anytime we've ever brought in a new member for consideration, our interview process includes the entire team. If you don't fit the vibe or the culture of the company, then really that we'll be looking for the next opportunity, right? So we want to make sure that because we're a small team, we want to be able to make sure that everyone clicks and everyone, you know, we just continue to expand what we've created thus far. And we think that that just ends with a much more positive result. We leverage everyone's unique talents and try to give them all the time and the opportunity to be able to expand upon those and strengthen those.
Well, awesome. I wouldn't be an architect and come do this. I love that though, like really being mindful of the person and their values. Is there good alignment there for the long term? Not just, hey, would this work in the moment or filling a spot? But that's really cool. I love how you have that process. It's awesome. So Anthony, thank you so much for spending this time today and having this conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciated the conversation.
Yeah, and if someone's listening and they want to reach out, what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, you can find us, you know, on LinkedIn or on Instagram, where we try to express and showcase all that we're doing currently. And we think that level of engagement and being more open and transparent builds more of that energy and connection with our community. And if we're allowed to say it and share it to the world, we will. And that's where we usually do it. So.
Yeah, that really sounds right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Talk CNY Economic Champions miniseries presented by NBT Bank. Episodes of this Center State CEO podcast are available on clickcny.com and all major podcast platforms. After each episode, you can join us on Click, where we'll continue to talk about this topic and provide additional resources and links. In Click, you can listen to or watch every episode of Talk CNY. Click is Center State CEO's digital chamber platform where our members connect, learn, and receive support from our staff. For new episode reminders, be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast listening app. If you are enjoying our series, consider leaving a quick review or a 5-star rating.
I would recommend NBT Bank to any business. My name is Chris Palomino, and I'm the president of Atlas Fence.
Chris had decided to purchase Atlas Fence from the previous owner. He had previous connections at NBT Bank.
NBT Bank provided me equipment financing, doubling our entire production workforce. It's important to me as a business owner that the decisions of our banking relationship are made locally.